Alright, so there's this film festival I'm gonna watch movies from called Slamdance. I checked, a lot of them are only streaming in Utah, so can't watch everything, but I'll do reviews of every single one I watch. Okay, first movie I watched was Cash Cow. This is a really weird documentary and how it's presented. It's like this guy in camp. He's like, there's two stories going on. Like, one about him waiting for his commercial to air, and the other he's telling the story of the Mormon church. Or Joseph, I forgot his name. This was a fun documentary. I love its weird, quirky style. That's like so bizarre and different from documentary, but I felt this dragged on hardcore. Like this wasn't that long. This was only an hour 40, but it felt way longer. Like I watched a 2.5 hour movie, like right before this, not from this festival, something else, and these felt the same length. But I mean, this was good, entertaining stuff, but kind of went on, dragged on. But since it is a well made and lots of entertaining information, I think I'll still give it a 7 out of 10. Alright, I saw this short film called Lollygag. It's literally just a girl stalking a guy and who dies. There's like really, I know this is only 10 minutes, but it felt like there was no conflict. I mean, it was kind of amusing at first, because how bizarre it was, but it got old really fast. It wasn't, I didn't hate this short, but it wasn't all that fresh to me. I got bored of it after, like halfway through. There's nothing to talk about. I'll just give this one a 5 out of 10. I saw another short film called Hubbard's. This short's impressive because in 5 minutes it was the most tedious, repetitive thing I ever seen. Like literally, it felt like the same short happening 3 times in a row with minor altercations. I'm not even kidding. That's literally how it's presented. Um, it had a pretty interesting presentation, like looking like an old CRT. I was trying to look like an old commercial, but the joke when despite this fact it's 5 minutes long, the joke grew tiresome very quickly. It was not a fun short. It was really annoying. 4 out of 10. All right. I also saw a movie called A Perfect Day for Caribou. This movie started off pretty promising. There was like a interesting monologue. I think the term. It's a local guy main character quoting thingy that was written very well. But oh my god, it delved into nothingness so quickly. Like there was a big portion of the movie which is them just wandering around. It was like, what the hell? You should have cut this down. It did not need to be an hour and a half. It could have been like, I don't know, 1 hour. It worked way better. It got tedious. I don't even know what the movie was going for by the end. It just felt like nothing. And I'm gonna it's 4 out of 10. Alright, another short I watched called Slower Animals. This is like an anime documentary. The animation was kind of neat, but there was like basically no substance. It was like a guy starts talking about how it goes to geese, and he just randomly talks about a memory as a child, and then he's like, "Oh, I cut the geese." I know the short's only 7 minutes, but like it felt like it could have been trimmed down, and then you would have like nothing. It's, it was a very empty short. But at least it was really short, so it went by fast. And I thought the animation was cool, so I can't really hate this short. And I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. I saw Waiting for the Light to Change. I could barely sit through this movie. It was so boring. There was like, I had to read this not so I feel what the conflict was. There was like, it was just random conversations that don't lead to anything. I got like an hour into it, at an hour 29, and just skipped around. It seemed to have a K ending, but God, it was so boring. There was like nothing to latch onto with this movie. I I was even thinking of quitting it earlier, and I just thought, okay, well, let's just power through, and I just I'm sorry, this movie was tedious. I know apparently a lot of people love this movie. More power to you, but it did not work for me, and I'm giving this one a 3 out of 10. So I watched this short film called Alegrias Rojanas. My Spanish sucks. This was very weird and trippy. I really enjoyed this. It was a little confusing the story, but I can't explain why. But there's something really fun about this short. I mean, yeah, I love the grainy look of the film, looking like some 50s TV show. There's a lot of really just set pieces. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I just don't know what to make of it. I enjoyed the plot. I don't know what to make of it. This is not a good review. I'm gonna give one a 7 out of 10. It was pretty fun. I saw another short film called Cole and Sarah. This is a conversation between two siblings. There was some tension between them, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like it. I felt like at like 11 minutes, nothing really. It doesn't fully develop. It wasn't boring like some others I've seen in this festival, so there's that. There's really not much to say about this one, and I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. So I saw this animated feature called Unicorn Boy. This is like third time I'm watching slamdance. This is the first time that the animated feature-length film, so I was kind of excited for this. This was not my type of thing. This movie felt like a really bad Adult Swim show. From everything from the animation to the humor, the story, there was barely a story at all. Okay, there was about unicorns. The movie just kind of gelled between these. Like it was started off about like this big evil thing, and then it like stops. Just movie just completely forgets about that for a bit. It was really dumb. Like what? And then it just forgets about the unicorn thing to focus on like some weird meditation class, and then get back to the unicorn thing. It was you could have cut that out. I think this was supposed to be a personal story by the director, but it was tedious. I don't know if it was trying to be funny because it wasn't funny. It was just really cringy. This was not me, and I'm just one a 4 out of 10. Alright, so I watched a movie called Mascot. This is actually a pretty interesting movie about like a guy who's like, it's one of those movies about someone who keeps going in the deeper, doing worse things, and I kind of like those movies, so I kind of like this one. It was a pretty, it was kind of disturbing, but it wasn't like overly so. The one thing that really annoyed about this movie, there was every now and then there was like a flashing red light covering the entire screen. I don't know if that's a rendering error or if that's intentional, but it was really annoying and kind of ruined not ruined the experience, but it kind of annoyed me. Yeah, I like this movie a lot. I give it a 7 out of 10 for now, but I think if I watch it again, I might end up raising it to an 8. Another short film I saw was Endless Sea. This is about a woman trying to get her heart medication after the copay goes up. There's really not much to this short. I mean, you kind of figure out it goes right from the description, but I mean, I think it was a good length at 20 minutes. Didn't feel stretched out. It was enjoyable. Yeah, it was definitely the ultimate definition of what I expect, but it was fine. And I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. Another short film I watched was called "It's Time You Died Already." This is about a woman caring for her mom. Even at 17 minutes, I didn't feel there was much substance to this film. I think people are rating it highly because it's like a realistic depiction of caring for a loved one, but as a story, there wasn't much to it. Like, it just, I mean, did it look like a real life situation? Yes, but was it an engaging story? No. I mean, I respect what I was trying to do, but I couldn't. Honestly, maybe it would have been better if they, like, expand the story into a feature length. That's just me. This short just wasn't much I latch onto, and I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. Alright, I watched a short documentary film called Moomin. It involves a guy who's trying to win a Moomin plush for his distant girlfriend. This was really short at 5 minutes. I actually gave it a really interesting story. I love the presentation where it's just shown through a phone. Yeah, I mean, this was only 5 minutes, so I can't really say much about it, but it was a pretty nice watch. And I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10. I watched another animated short film called Don't Die on Me. It was it was kind of a bad trip movie like the previous film, but it wasn't. It actually told a story. A guy who almost died and had like light flashing before his eyes. It had really cool mix of animation styles. Like it actually had substance. It was actually interesting to watch. 3 minutes. It was pretty. Did a lot in 3 minutes. Well, not a lot, but a fair amount. And I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10. So I watched a documentary feature called Starring Jerry as himself. It's kind of weird. Most of it is like actually like a narrative film where he plays himself in the story of how he got scammed. It was a pretty interesting story. It, it felt a little. I felt. What's the word? It felt too fictional. Okay, that's the wrong word. I'm sure it didn't feel like a real story. The presentation, I don't know. I mean, he wanted to bring awareness to the story, but I think more like a traditional documentary would have been better. Like, it felt like it was sensationalizing his own story. I know it wasn't intended, but kind of felt like it. Kind of forgot I was watching a documentary because of the presentation. Like, it's a good movie overall, but I don't know. It feels weird presentation wise after thinking about it. I'm just one a 7 out of 10. Also, I'm glad he won the scam case. Yeah, I know it's probably going to come off wrong, but I think people know what I mean. I watched this animated short called Horse. It was only 4 minutes, but it was the stupidest thing ever. It was literally a bunch of random nonsense. I mean, I guess some of the stop motion animation is cool, but it literally, the Flanders advertised like a deconstruction toxic masculinity. I'm like, what the fuck are you smoking? Were you on drugs when you wrote that or watched this film? Because there was nothing to this short. It was literally just a bunch of random animations involving horse. There was nothing. It was a stupid short. I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 10. So I saw a short called Here Comes Frida. Apparently this was actually released in 2020. I don't know why, since 2023 festival. Anyways, this short, there's a lot that happens. I feel like this concept would better in a feature film. There's like a ton of ideas at play, and the movie just feels like it's, or rather, feels like it's fast forwarding to get the idea presented away. Like I feel like this was like an act one. It was 10 minutes. I guess it's decent. There was some. It was dumb Deus Ex Machina right at the end, trying to throw in a bunch of reveals. It all feels rushed. I think even just like an extra 10 minutes something to flesh things out would have been better. I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. So my eyes are up here. This is I felt deja vu because not from this festival. I recently watched another film involving someone getting Plan B, so I felt a sense of deja vu. This short's okay. It's another short that felt like it could have been a longer feature. Like if by the time it was done, it felt like it just kind of started, get going. I mean, it a light, it light. I mean, it was kind of cool to see a disabled person in a romantic comedy situation. That'd be cool to see in the feature film, but it's an okay short. I'm gonna just want a 6 out of 10. Sorry, I should have said that. I watched another short film called The Sidewalk Artist. This was advertised as a comedy, but it was not funny at all. It didn't even feel like a comedy. There's nothing absurd about this film. Like, I can't tell you what the joke is. Like, this main character is very typical. There's nothing exaggerated about him. The situations are so typical. Like, there's no joke. This could have passed as a real documentary. Because it's so grounded and not absurd. And also it's also kind of boring. It's really repetitive. Like, it's mostly just him showing the quote unquote crazy things you see puts on this concrete. It takes like near the end to do something different. By that I'm already bored out of my mind. This was a really lame short. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. And the final thing I watched was Directions. This is like a documentary about something significance of the idea of an address. It sounds really stupid. It was kind of interesting. I mean, the entire thing was just the narrative modeling of it. I can't really describe much of this short, but it was interesting. A lot of interesting ideas about the idea of community and stuff. It was a pretty fascinating listen. It was more of a listen than a watch, to be honest. I like this though. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.